Hi guys, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If you have not been here before, welcome and thanks for checking me out. So the topic of this video is why do we collect? And obviously I'm someone who collects luxury bags or just handbags in general, whether you think they're luxury or contemporary. But I collect bags and I'm trying to self-assess and figure out why. And I'm hoping that if I figure out or can unpack why I'm driven to collect things, then maybe I can tap into how to stop or to rein myself in. And I say that because one of my 2022 goals was to stop buying bags. It was two things. It was stop buying bags, and it was start to really appreciate and wear the bags that you own more. As we're nearing the end of 2022 and I'm kind of taking stock, clearly I'm saying to myself, you did not do well on this goal. And I'm asking myself, why? Why did I continue to buy new bags and not wear the ones and appreciate the ones that I already have in my collection? So yeah, I'm hoping to hear some people weigh in as to why we collect things, whether they be perfumes or shoes. I know someone who collects Barbie dolls, bags, clothes, whatever. And I know there's a fine line between collecting and hoarding, and that they're kind of cousins. Yeah, I'm just interested in what people think. For myself, I've landed on a few reasons that I collect things. One reason I think I collect things is for a sense of control. I was raised an Army brat. I moved all the time. Every 1 to 3 years, we were always moving places. I lived in Japan, Germany, Texas, Ohio, Hawaii, Colorado, several places, Maryland. We were always moving. And so I never felt settled. I never could get settled. And it felt like because I was a kid, I had no control. Things around me were always changing, and I was always adjusting to a new environment, to a new school, to new people. And so that has caused me to be, it's strange because it's caused me to be very clean. I would say I'm addicted. I'm addicted to routine. I like cleanliness. I like things to be in order and in their proper place. Everything has a home. But I also think for some reason, owning things also gives me a sense of control. And so I don't quite know why, but I do think that's one reason. Another reason I think I collect things is because I'm a child of the 80s. I was born in 78, late 78, almost 79. I was a kid through the 80s, and we were kind of conditioned to buy and collect things. So I collected Garbage Pail Kids cards. I collected Cabbage Patch Kid cards and Cabbage Patch Kids. I collected My Little Pony. I was into, there was a rabbit. Oh, what was the name of that rabbit? I can't remember, but I can remember playing the album. Oh, that's gonna drive me crazy. But I also collected albums, and I had a little record player in my room, and a collection of records. So I think I've been kind of conditioned in a sense to collect. It's carried over into my adulthood. Another reason, and no matter how much I don't want to admit this, I do think that there's a need to kind of have a symbol of achievement or a symbol of, I don't know if it's social status. Like, there's a part of me that as I looked into why people collect or why people buy luxury things, social status or status of their or a symbol of their status is one of the reasons. And when I read that, my knee-jerk reaction is, no, that's not me. I don't really care what people think of me, or I don't care that, it's not about showing that I have the money to buy this. But I kind of am like, if Louis Vuitton didn't have the status that it did have, would I like it as much? And it's hard to know, but I suspect that I wouldn't. So there's a small part of me that has to admit that that has to be a part of it a little bit, even if it's hard to admit. It must be. I mean, I'm a part of the, culture and society, so I'm not immune to these kinds of things. So I do have to kind of accept that that has to be a small part of it. And I do kind of say to myself, this is something that I'm able to do now. It does feel like a sense of achievement, because there was a time in my life as a young single mom where I wasn't in a position to buy a Louis Vuitton bag, where it was only an aspiration, where it was only something I could see from afar or watch other people have. So there is this sense of achievement now that I'm in a place in my life where I can just walk into a store and buy something, and I have the money to buy it, and I don't have to think about it or think about, do I really have the money for this? Am I taking away from something else? So I don't know. There's two that has like different elements. It's a personal achievement, so it feels good to be able to do it. But it's, again, there has to be a little bit of it that's a status achievement too. So it's hard to really unpack that, but I'm like, that has to be somewhat tied to this. I think there's also the social element, because being a part of a community of people that like the same things as you gives you a sense of belonging. So if you're into cars, and you kind of gravitate toward other people that are into cars, it's not like you're in a group or a club, but you kind of have this community of people that makes you feel like you belong. And I think that might be especially important to people that are, well, I don't know if this is true or not. If you're an introvert and you don't have a large group of friends, or you're not super interested in being highly social, but you're into something like being into bags or being into shoes, it becomes easier to socially interact, because you can find that circle, that group, that community that wants to interact with those things. I love to see, I don't know why, but I get excited to see other people's posts, other people's bags, other people's SLGs, because I'm into it. So it excites me. And I know it seems small to other people, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? To each their own, right? Is what we say. So everybody's into something. And thank goodness, we're into something that doesn't hurt anybody or doesn't hurt us. Hopefully. It could hurt your pocketbook, could hurt you financially if you are not being responsible and things of that nature. But yeah, I think that a sense of belonging is one of the reasons that I am drawn to collecting these things. But there's the other side to that. So before, I want to say, 2.5, 3 years ago, so before this whole situation, my disposable income, my discretionary income went elsewhere. It would go to trips, it would go to traveling, it would go to weekend getaways for me and my husband, it would go to trips for me and my family. And then when that was gone and we could no longer travel, it's like I channeled that into this bag collecting. And I think some of that was fueled by sitting around with nothing to do on social media and starting to see what other people had and what other people were buying. And it kind of starts to set you on this path, this momentum, because you're seeing everybody else's items and you're like, ooh, that's new, and I like that. And maybe, when life was busier and you were moving and you were focused on other things, you wouldn't notice these things, or they wouldn't have such an impact on you. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that I've definitely recognized, is watching or consuming so much bag content has definitely fueled my own purchases. I have been influenced, and I struggle with that because I enjoy this kind of content, but at the same time, it's not helping me meet my goals. So I've got to find a way to enjoy the content without feeling influenced to buy. And maybe that's going to mean I have to watch less of it. I mean, it is what it is. If I want to meet my goals, then I'm going to have to make some adjustments. But yeah, I do think that, there's a point where you can get out of balance, and you do have to kind of recognize what your intake is of all this stuff. Some of the things that I've bought, I don't think I would have bought if this, situation, I didn't have some extra time and extra money on my hands, or couldn't do with my extra money what I normally am doing, because I wouldn't have known about some of these things. I wouldn't know about the hot new release. I wouldn't know about the latest thing because I would be doing other things. So that hasn't helped either. So that's twofold. And I'm gonna have to make some adjustments, I think, in that department. And like I said, this is rising to the top for me because number one, we're going into a new year and pretty soon. And of course, you kind of start to assess, how did you do? You know what I mean? Did you knock your goals out of the park, or did you miss the mark? And I definitely missed the mark in this area. I met some other goals for the year, but again, focusing on this one, it was a pretty big one. I've missed the mark in this area. And the other thing is, buying bags has lost some of the appeal. It's lost some of the sparkle. And I think that's because when you do it too often, you start to kind of just feel numb to it. So I'd like to get some of that sparkle back. And maybe if I, waited a while and then bought something that was really special and I really loved, it would have that sparkle again. Because the last bag I bought, which I still am like vacillating on, I'm just kind of like, why? Yeah, I don't know. So there's that. I want to have that specialness. The other thing is, I really, really want to appreciate what I own. That's really a big deal to me. That's as big a goal as not buying bags, is to find that I have appreciated what I actually have already bought. I've been challenging myself to kind of look through bags and pull them out. And I pulled out the Odeon today, and I bought that bag this year. I've only worn it once this year. I pulled it out of the dust bag. I realized that I hadn't stuffed it, that it was kind of like slumped over. And I thought to myself, wow, if you would have left this like this, you could run the risk of the canvas cracking, of it having like a permanent fold in it. And I just felt bad. I felt kind of ashamed because I'm like, you just bought this bag this year. It's an expensive bag. It's a nice bag, and you're not even using it and not really taking care of it. I'm really good about stuffing my Speedies, but for some reason I did not stuff this bag. I don't know if that's because I thought I was gonna put it in the dust bag and wear it again pretty quickly, but that never happened. And what a shame. So it's important to me to really start to use what I own, wear it, appreciate it, and even discover what I don't love anymore and maybe let it go. And that's the thing I want to avoid, is I have no interest in being a reseller of bags. I just would prefer not to buy it. And sometimes it can be hard to know what you'll love down the line. And that's the sucky part about luxury purchases, is you have a small window. First of all, they're large purchases. They're a large financial commitment usually. You're not sure what you're going to love sometimes, and you have a small window of when you can return it. And I think that's I don't buy fakes or replicas or whatever you want to call them, but I can understand the sentiment behind getting a replica or getting a fake, to understand whether or not you're really going to love it. If you really, could you get one for $50 or $100 before you decide to get and wear it, and kind of conceptualize for yourself, is this really going to work for me? And if yes, then I go ahead and pull the trigger on $2,000 versus, I don't know if I'm going to love this bag, but I'm going to go ahead and buy it for $2,000. And then, in 90 days, if I decide I don't love it, or in a year, if I don't love it, I'm kind of stuck with it, or I've got to, do the whole reseller thing, which is not fun. Reselling, a $30 shirt is one thing. Reselling a $3,000 bag is a whole different story. I don't want to be in that business, which is why I want to slow down with my buying, because I don't want to have so many bags that I'm not using and don't love, and have to run the risk and deal with the anxiety of reselling it. So anyway, I think that's where I'm going to wrap this because I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but I really would like to hear from you about reasons why we collect, and reasons why maybe you collect, or reasons you know other people collect, and how to curb that appetite. What are some tips? What are some tricks? What have you done? I've heard people say they've locked themselves into only buying for two occasions, their birthday and Christmas. I love that. I want to hear or want to know what other people are doing to help fuel what I can do to do better next year, because I have got to do better for myself. It's a personal goal, and I want to knock it out of the park next year. I think I can still be a part of this community because I can just share what I own. I know that it might get old for some people. It is what it is. Hopefully, I will still find joy in being a part of the community and sharing my things and maybe helping someone decide what to buy or what not to buy. I've got bags I've never shown because I don't know. They're just sitting around and I've never either worn them or just never bothered to show them. So I think I can still have fun doing that and be creative, but also step back a bit. So yeah, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think, what your thoughts are, what tips you have. And if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Bye.